Hello and welcome back to another episode of Lattice training. Today we're going through a lower body flexibility session, and this is pretty much appropriate for most climbers out there. We all need to be working on our lower body flexibility to help with our climbing performance. So this is a quick session which can be done sort of on a daily basis just to help keep greasing the groove and making sure that our lower body flexibility is topped up. Okay, so we're going to kick this one off with some circular joint rotations, taking the hip joint out of internal and external rotation. This is going to help warm up the hips, but also lubricate that joint for any of the exercises we're doing later on. So we're going to come into this position here with our feet wider than shoulder width apart and out in front of us. From here, you can support your body with your hands. We're just going to drop our hips from internal to external rotation. So bringing the knees down towards the floor. You might need to just pull the knee down. You might feel a bit of a stretch, sort of deep in the hip there. Really good for drop knees and just working on that internal rotation. If you want to make it a little bit harder, you can kind of remove the support and just be using your upper body to maintain that position. And once you've done sort of 6 to 8 of these, we're going to just make the foot position a little bit wider and come into a 90-90 position. From here, we're going to lean over this leg, so bringing our chest down to our knee, work on a sort of hip stretch, working on those glutes and external rotators. If you find you're not getting much of a stretch in this position, make sure that you're pushing your chest up and over this leg to increase that intensity and that stretch. And we're just going to hold this for sort of 20 to 30 seconds. Really good for working on that external rotation or the flexibility of those external rotators. Really good for that turnout when you need to be using those heel hooks, especially those high up heel hooks. Now we're just going to come out of that. Swap the knees to the other side and same again. Chest up and over into the stretch. Okay, and the next one, we're going to be working on some hamstring flexibility. So we're going to come into kind of a squat position. I'm going to put my hands under my feet. From here, we're going to go from squat into pike, so forward fold position. And we're just going to make sure we've got this hip hinge already, and then we're going to increase the stretch by extending at the knee and pushing up into a stretch. We're just going to go sort of 10 repetitions of this, pausing at the top for a couple seconds. If you can't straighten your leg all the way, that's fine. Go to a stretch, that feels good. If this is already quite easy for you, you can just pull a little bit deep with your arms. Trying to keep that hip crease nice and tight so that we've got a stretch in the hamstrings. Good, and from here, we're going to go wider than shoulder width. And we're going to come into a deep squat. So try and squat as deep as you can in this position, and you can support a little bit of that opening of the hips by pushing your elbows into your knees and opening up the hips. And we're just going to hold this for, again, 20 to 30 seconds. Trying to go as deep as possible to open up those hips and work on those hip adductors. If you find this position is quite steady for you, something I like to do to work on a little bit of thoracic mobility as well. So I'll bring my shoulder down to my knee and just do some rotations reaching up towards the sky. You usually get a few cracks and pops in the spine if this is the first thing I've done in the day. Really nice just to release the back as well, to work on that lower body flexibility. Okay, so lastly, we're gonna go work on the hip adductor flexibility again. So this is really good and important for keeping your hips close to the wall. What we're gonna do is work the knees out. So the distance apart between your knees is gonna really depend on the intensity of the stretch and how flexible you are at the minute. What we're gonna do, shift them apart. Your toes are gonna come together at the back, and then you're gonna push back into the stretch. If you find you end up sitting on your heels, make sure your chest is forward. And if you're still sitting on your heels, just make your knees a little bit further apart to increase the stretch. Again, sort of 20 to 30 seconds in the stretch. This one's really important for opening up the hips, and that frog position where your hips are nice and close into the wall will improve the efficiency of your climbing and your resting positions. Might find it nice just to rock back into this stretch a little bit, push into the intensity a bit more. Okay, and the last stretch, we're gonna work on the calves. So we're gonna come into this sort of half kneeling position with your crease of your ankle behind the heel of the other leg. And we're gonna rock onto this leg. I'm gonna place the weight of my chest on top of my knee, and I'm just gonna sit over this leg, allowing the weight of my body to push my knee over my toe. And I should be feeling a stretch sort of in the lower part of my calf. Working on this dorsiflexion, so the ability to rock over this foot, really helpful to high rock over positions or finding rest positions where you're sitting on a heel hook. Really transferable to climbing. Also gonna help with being able to drop the heel and getting things like frictions on slopers and slab climbing. Again, we'll sort of spend 20 to 30 seconds here, but if this is a really good stretch for you, you can hang out here for a lot longer. And we're just gonna move to the other one. So again, crease of that ankle is gonna go behind that heel. I'm gonna take my weight of my chest, allow it to sit over that ankle, just allowing my weight to bring the knee over the toe. Okay, so there we have it, a really simple lower body flexibility follow along. You can incorporate this into your daily sessions, or it can be something you do in the mornings to get ready for the day. You can also use the same principle for warming up for your climbing. It's really important that in our climbing sessions, we're developing our lower body flexibility before we get on the wall, because this is going to help our movement and help us get the most out of our session. If you like this content and you're looking for more, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.